Nicole Repstock was on a complete different path before deciding to launch her namesake footwear label. She joins me now to talk about turning a passion into a profitable business. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell me about sort of getting started with your brand?
Okay, so I studied a conjoint of business and law with the intention of practicing law one day. And I sort of got a few years into my law degree, and I remember just thinking, in my gut, I just don't think I can wake up and do this as a job every day. I just knew that, to be successful in a law career, you really had to be, you had to love it. And I remember loving fashion, loving shoes, but sort of thinking, that's just a nice dream. I had no experience. And, how would I ever get something like that started? And I remember, it was the start of the mid-semester break, and I woke up one morning, and as they do to you at law school, they ask you to do 4 legal opinions over the summer break. And I thought, I better get started on this. And I sat up in my bed and I just thought to myself, you know what, nobody is born with the knowledge to start a shoe business. Anyone who does it has learnt it, and if other people can learn it and do it, then there's no reason I can't. And I remember I jumped out of bed and went and grabbed a piece of paper and drew this shoe. And granted, it wasn't the best drawing, but for me it really marked the start of me saying, okay, I'm going to do this. And so from then on, it was just about how we're going to practically do this. So I got a job in a shoe store. I lined up some study at London College of Fashion, looked for a manufacturer, all those sorts of things. Went over to China and met different manufacturers. And ultimately we opened our first store on High Street in 2017.
Why shoes in particular? I mean, what was the gap in the market that you saw?
Well, firstly, I just love shoes. I think, though, there was definitely a gap in the sense that we really lacked that more European-inspired, more classic, timeless, but contemporary sort of styling here that I so loved and means something to me because of my European heritage. So I was really intent on bringing that to the market.
Mm-hmm. And, talk to me about opening your first stores and sort of going into brick and mortar retail.
Yeah, so obviously quite a daunting thing to begin with. A lot of people take the approach of sort of starting with wholesale first. I decided I was going to open a shop because I just felt that we had done a couple pop-ups here and there, and it just became so clear to me that people really needed to try the product on. And I think if it's a new brand, especially if it's something they don't have any sort of experience with, they really want to come and try the product for themselves. And we found that when they would try the product, it was just for them it was an easy buy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And where do you see the company in sort of 12 months' time?
So I'd like to think that we'll be opening another store and just, continuing with what we're doing, making those improvements that we've sort of continually been making year after year and growing the company. And I think, we are operating in a somewhat challenging environment for retail. So, focusing on what you're doing, how you could make it better, and then keeping those sort of goals like opening new stores, at the forefront, ready to take the jump when we sort of know when things are going to clear up.
Any clues on where that new store might be?
Oh, I'd say Wellington. Which I think hopefully some of our customers in Wellington will be listening because we just get so much feedback that, they want us there. So, yeah.
What would you say has been the biggest lesson you've learned?
Oh, the biggest lesson I think would have been in COVID. Everyone's sort of businesses kind of come to a halt. Everyone's had to close their stores, and you're sort of sitting there thinking, okay, am I going to now cut all my costs? What are we going to do with marketing? Are we going to pull back, or are we going to spend more? And I think the lesson would be that when times are tough, it's still, especially for a growing young brand, it's still really important to be putting your name out there and getting that awareness of the brand because you just can't get the growth that you need without doing those activities. Yeah.
And do you have any advice for young entrepreneurs or perhaps young women that might be listening?
Yeah, I think The one thing I would say is expect it to be a challenge, you know. Things can look very pretty on the outside, but that doesn't mean that behind closed doors it's not very hard work, because in reality any business you start is going to be hard, and they're all going to come with their own unique set of challenges, and it really is about getting up and just keeping on going, and believing in yourself even when people, you know, might not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
For more content just like this and all the latest business and political news, head over to mbr.co.nz.